I'm in.
All right, Conk, whenever you're good.
Alright, ready? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chilling Neigh Podcast, your premier VGC podcast. My name is Rashil, aka Conkodonk VGC, and I'm here with my co-hosts Tommy Hayden and Sableye VGC. Say hi, guys.
What's going on?
What's up? We had to do that twice because I accidentally cursed, and I'm so sorry we had to do that twice. But I stole Ryan's "What's up" that he did the first time, and I'm gonna try not to curse. And I appreciate everyone listening.
FYI, guys, we're gonna eventually add a swear jar
Yeah,
for Tommy just
yeah,
to see how many times we have to edit
yeah.
out.
So every time
For
you
this.
see like a weird cut, that's because Tommy swore, and we had to edit it
Yep.
out.
We're at one per
Yep.
episode. I'm
Yep.
not gonna do it this episode. I'm not gonna do it this episode. I'm not gonna do it this episode.
But I am so happy to be back. We are recording for the first time since coming back from Japan. So super excited to be talking 2024 season, meta going into Pittsburgh. We got a really fun episode for you guys today. So let's dive right on in. First, let's kind of talk a little bit about just how we're feeling about going into 2024 season now. We're all back to zero for CP. We have 500 CP bar going into this season. Plenty of regionals already announced. They just announced all the international championships as well. So,
Yeah.
how are you guys feeling? Any tips for newer players going into this season? Just kind of overall thoughts.
Can I start with this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. People saw what I did this past season and were like, Tom, you really kind of went all in. Like, what advice would you have? And my advice was hit as many ICs as possible. Go to all 4 ICs when I thought there were going to be 4. Now there's only 3. We got to touch on Oceania being ousted.
Yeah.
Crazy to me that circuit doesn't have an IC now. But LAIC, EUIC, and NAIC are circled. I'm going to try to make all 3, I think. I really am I think I'm going to try to make all 3. That's how big ICs are in my mind. Like, they are the season, especially with this 500 point now. Looking forward at the season, I'm only going to Pittsburgh and LA as regionals, maybe Orlando. But, like, yeah, no, the ICs are going to be big. I might not even make LAIC. I got to wait. Shout out Sohaib. He has travel awards. So he said he asked a couple of people first. If they can't crash with him, he would have a spot in the hotel for me. So I might be able to get some free accommodations down there because of the travel awards for him.
Yeah.
And, yeah, then all I would have to do is pay for a flight and a couple meals. And that makes it way more realistic. EUIC is so much fun. I love London. And then everyone asks me where my accent's from when I'm over there, and I'm like, I'm from East London. You can't tell? And that always gets a couple of cheap laughs. And then NAIC being in New Orleans, that's huge.
That's big.
Wait,
We
so
got to talk about that too.
I want to hear, Ryan, I want to hear your opinion on that. How many NAICs have you been to, and how many have been in Columbus?
Oh, not like this. Not like this. Okay, so every single NAIC I have gone to has been in Columbus. Now, granted, I've only been to 2. So,
Okay.
it's tough to say, but like for as long as I can remember, it's been in Columbus, right? So it's one of those ones where I'm really actually happy they're moving it around because it's not always accessible. Columbus is not the most accessible for everyone, right? It's great for us Toronto area players, right? 6.5 hour drive, nice and tidy, nice, right? But like having it spread around and move around, right, is really good because over the years it's eventually gonna become accessible for more and more people, right? And like the diehard players, right, and the committed players are gonna find their way there anyways, right?
Yeah.
So
No, I think. Go for it. Go for it. Keep
no, I
going.
was gonna
Sorry.
say like some of those diehard players, right? Doesn't really matter how close or accessible. Obviously, it's cheaper and there's less resources you have to spend to get there. But those like all in, you need to go all in for your invite. And if you've committed to that for the season, you're gonna find your way to that event anyways. But it definitely is nice to spread it around because there's players out there that really only don't have that many events and can't afford to go to that many events. So having ICs just kind of moved around in different areas from time to time is really, really good because like you get to now maybe feature this new player that doesn't necessarily go to all these events, has an IC in his area, maybe has a fantastic showcase and gets his invite now or gets their invite.
Yeah, 100%. I think like a big thing is I absolutely love traveling for Pokemon and I think it's so fun, but there's certain times where you wish that certain tournaments were in a more fun location just to make it a little bit more of a fun trip out of it. And I think like certain, regionals in kind of really random locations or tournaments in really kind of random cities can be less fun just because of the
Fort
city
Wayne.
itself. There's just less
Fort
to
Wayne.
do. Yeah. For me, that was like Knoxville this season. There just like wasn't really
Yeah.
much around. I think.
I
And
loved Fresno because I drove to LA.
See, there you go.
Yeah, okay, but I know people weren't excited about Fresno itself, you know.
Yeah,
And
Fresno
so, like,
itself not that great, but going to LA because you were so close to LA, that's what's
I
up.
wasn't
Yeah.
even close. That's the bad part. I was like, all right, this is like a 300-mile drive. Are we really doing this?
Yeah, and so I know that, I mean, New Orleans is, I mean, no shot at Columbus, but New Orleans is a very famously fun city, so I think it's super exciting that NAIC
I'll take shots at
is there.
Columbus. That place, people had cars stolen for last year's IC. People had their cars broken into. Yeah, it was like, what is going on right now? This one I didn't hear about as many car thefts, but last year there were 2.
Jeez. Well, I'm super excited for a lot of the really fun locations that are that have been announced for different tournaments this year. But I think a big thing going into this 2024 season, first for newer players, just to kind of a little bit up on what Tommy was saying about the ICs, they have much larger point payouts, and so kind of doing top 128 or top 64 at an IC versus top 128, top 64 at a regional, the point difference is so huge that it's just really worth it to get to those ICs if you can. So definitely recommend that. And now we're gonna have a lot more premier challenges, a lot more mid-season showdowns that I think really important. I mean, right before the podcast was we were literally just talking about at Pittsburgh, the regional that's coming up. There's gonna be a premier challenge pretty much every day, from Friday to Sunday, and a mid-season showdown. So I think it's really important to try to get to those events just to chip away at it. I think Ryan kind of alluded to this in a previous episode of the pod, but it's really a marathon, not a sprint. And I think it can be easy to forget that if you do poorly at an early event. But it's really important to just kind of keep that mindset, say, hey, it's a long season. Worlds is a year away. I just need to chip away at that invite.
I'm so happy you brought that up because I was hoping someone would, and I wouldn't have to just like segue to it myself. So I'm happy you kind of segued to it for me. But like it really is, guys, and I have fallen for this trap. As somebody, I don't think I'm like the best player in the game, but I do think I have potential to be a consistent player. So as somebody who thinks like that, it's for me, I'm not gonna go to every single event and expect to win every single event I play, right? So seeing 500 points is very, I don't want to say alarming, but it's a slap in the face. It's like, whoa, hold up, that's a long way to go considering I'm at 0. If I win this premier challenge, I'm only getting 30. But what we have to do is you have to take a step back, and if you get top 4 at all your best finish limits for your mid-season showdowns and your premier challenge,
that's
let's
6
just
PCs,
get that
6 MSS is top 4.
Right, and that's top 4 in MSS, which I believe it still.
I'll look that up now.
Is it still 20? I know top 4 to PC is 8, so that's 8 times 6. It might be 25 for top 4 at an MSS, right?
I'm pulling it up now. PC is 12 for top 4. Mid-season showdown's 32.
12 plus. Yeah, that puts you at 264, and that's just getting top 4. And if you get to top 4 at PCs and MSSs 12 times to max out that, you got to think one of those 12 sets you're going to win. That skews the numbers. So now you're over halfway just off getting top 4s at all your locals. It's scary to look at. It's kind of, if you look at it all at once, you're like, this is it. It's over. We're not doing it. But you got to remember, it's chip away. And then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself in a spot where it's like, hey, this is almost doable, you know? Obviously, you're going to have periods of time where you're like, that's it. I'm not getting it. It's going to happen. But like, definitely keep your head up all the way, guys. It's a marathon, but keep chipping away at it.
Absolutely.
I want to bring up the prize money now too. If it's, am I stepping on toes? Because we were talking about this before the pod too. We asked Ryan what his career earnings would be and what it would be with the new payout is more than double, which is insane to me. Like Ryan, I think you could make some really good money playing the game this season because of your caliber of play, your talent, your team building capabilities. Like, I think the sky's the limit for you. I think this is your season. Like, for real.
I appreciate that, Tommy. I appreciate that. We'll see. I'm going to try and make it my season, but maybe I just got to stop bringing my mom to events. Maybe that's the secret.
No, your mom is lovely.
Well, okay, so this is a funny story. So we got
I got to segue into this. So basically, guys, every tournament that I go, or every tournament I have done well at, my mom has not been there. I have never gotten points at a large, or like a good chunk of points at a larger event where my mom has attended. I think it's very funny. It's just a spooky coincidence, but it's definitely a very funny joke to run with.
It's super funny. It's super funny. So I'm gonna take a step back here for and kind of explain a little bit what Tommy was referring to. So
Hmm.
Pokemon Company has released a bunch of different changes for this upcoming season. One of them was obviously the CP bar, but recently they announced that they have increased the prize money payouts for Pokemon tournaments, and so they have almost doubled, or in some cases more than
Tripled, I think.
doubled the
Yeah.
payouts. So even just look, I have the regionals pulled
The
up here.
ICs
So
went
for
from 5 to
Masters,
15.
yeah, so for
Hmm.
Masters division, winner gets $6,000.
It used to be
Um,
3. It used to be 3. Yeah.
used to be 2 or 3,
It
something
was
like
3.
that.
It
I
So
was
thought
3 because
someone
I
got.
got 2 for
it was
second at
three.
Vancouver.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
yeah. So double the amount, and I sees it's even more, and so it's really exciting for players that we felt like for a long time. If you look at different other video games and their kind of payouts, I mean, we're still not to the level of other games yet, but it's heading in the right
Hmm.
direction, right? Giving a little bit more incentive of say, okay, hey, if you're one of the more consistent players, you can actually break even slash make money
Hmm.
going to tournaments, and
Yes.
that's a really exciting concept versus, oh, I have to win just to even like kind of
Break even
break
or
even
not even.
for tournaments. So,
Like this
I
helps
think
actually good players.
super exciting. Yeah.
I think it helps
Like,
more than that, Tommy, because like, yeah, you look at it's like, yo,
Yeah,
6,000 for first, but I think what's not being talked about enough is 750 for top 16, which I think is probably the
exactly.
most important one. That
yeah.
used to be 250, okay, and that was, for me, I don't know, like for me that's like a hotel, that's about a hotel cost for the weekend, about
Yeah.
250, you right? But now, let's say I get a decent deal on a flight, or get to drive down there. That's only gonna add maybe, let's just say another 250 for simplicity's sake, right? That means my
Right.
regional is $500. Before, I was losing money even if I got top 16. Now I'm actually making 250 for getting top 16.
That's not including booster packs, right?
Dude.
Because you get
Right.
some
You
booster packs
also
for
get
that too.
booster packs for top 16, which you can sell if you choose, or open,
Yep.
because like I'm addicted to opening
It's fun.
Pokemon packs, so I'm gonna be the guy that
Yeah.
opens them. But it's just so much easier to actually justify going now, because
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
higher chance of breaking even. That break even point is a lot easier to attain. I'm not saying it's like you're just gonna walk into an event and just break even, no problem. But it's a
Right.
You
lot
will.
it's a lot more attainable than it was in the past, and I think that's definitely an important feature.
Yeah, I think like a big thing is obviously all of us are playing not really. I mean, I'll at least speak for I think the majority of people I've interacted is we're not playing to make money off of Pokemon. We're playing because we love the game.
Yep.
We really want to have the opportunity to prove that we're some of the best players in the world. But the added bonus of it's a costly hobby, right?
Hmm.
Going
Yeah.
to different regionals, it adds up, and I think having that prospect of, hey, you know what, the hard work that I'm putting in is not only going to pay off in results, but also pay off in potential profit is a really, really exciting
Hmm.
prospect, and I think it's just a really great change in the right direction by the Pokemon
I
Company.
agree.
I am so excited to see if this brings up the level of people going to events. Because originally Gavin had said, once I hit 500, I'm not going to any more events.
Right.
I think the payout increase changes that outlook on the like actual good player that can make money consistently from this game, can top eight
Yeah.
consistently from this game. I think they're going to be driven to go to more events now.
I think that's a great, great segue into some of the maybe less positive changes that have been coming um, uh,
Yeah.
into play for certain these regionals, and that's some of these lower caps that we've been seeing at these regionals. For reference, last year we've had regionals in San Diego hit almost 1,000 people. We were hitting at least 750, 800 people.
Yep.
And now for the few events that have already opened registration, Pittsburgh capped at around, I think they just announced that they're going to open a few more slots from 420 to
432 total.
435.
Yeah, it's
432,
432.
it's
yep.
you're gonna
Uh,
get like an extra 10 people in, and it's a funny
uh,
story on that one, but
I
well,
don't think it's very funny. I think it shows their incompetence, low key.
it's it's just sad because I think the game is growing so much, and there's other. I think there was a Barcelona special event or
mhm,
something like that, capped at like
350.
150,
yeah, it's
something like
ridiculous.
350.
that, and then another. I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but another tournament
Yeah,
capped at like
yeah,
300.
Peoria.
So we're
Peoria is 370, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of lower caps for a game that's really growing, and I think that kind of hinders especially for newer players that are really trying to get in, and a lot of these top players that, some of these are being paid by different esports organizations. I saw that
Mm-hmm.
to go and play in tournaments, and that's limiting their potential to try to go and play. Just we have this new CP bar. Important thing to do is to get to tournaments to be able
Yep.
to get points, and that being limited is really kind of
Mm-hmm.
disappointing to see, at least early on. I'm really hoping that
This.
that's going to change once we get into more of the spring regionals.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been
Wow.
great to see early on.
This is actually something I'm actually like super passionate about because it needs to be fixed. And I actually made a topic or made a video on my channel about this, like going into full detail. But I'm not gonna do into that. I'm not gonna go into that here. But like,
Yeah.
guys, the game is ready to grow. It is growing. We can see it growing. It is actively growing. I remember back in the day, I would go to a regional and be like, "Yo, we hit 100 people. That's massive." Guys, that doesn't happen anymore. We are sitting here. We are getting insane amounts of people. Like Conk said, it's 750 out of Orlando last year. Like we're getting massive players, and the game is just they're not letting us grow the game the way we want to grow the game. And obviously, I get and I respect the fact that like the venue only has so much space, right? So obviously they're gonna run into issues there, and
They're
every
tweeting they want more.
I know, I get that they want more, right? And
That's
there's
the
also they
crazy
also
part.
have issues with the stands we use for VGC right now.
Yeah.
Those are currently I think
Yeah,
stuck in Japan or something like that, which is kind of a
I
funny
think it's
story.
worse.
But
Yeah.
besides the
I
point,
think
the
they're in
game is ready
transit.
to grow, and it's just not being let. It's not they're not letting it grow, and it's kind of it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I heard they sent the stands over for the London Open, and then someone else told me that was a joke. They said no. That's why they didn't send them late for the London Open.
Yeah. No,
And I
I
said, "Are you?
think
I'm not the London Open, the Yokohama Open that never
Yep.
happened. They sent
yeah.
extra stands for that. That's why this is happening. Apparently, that's a conspiracy now.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. It's just really unfortunate that this is limiting the season. You know,
Yeah. When you
Do you
look at
guys know
like
any notable players cut out from Pittsburgh that want to go? I know
uh,
Chuffa might not be able to go. One of
Justin Tang
our
currently
friends,
right now is not
Justin
in.
Tang.
oh, wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are two
Canadian
like
Jesse is
top
not
level
in as
players.
well. He's a pretty notable one.
Who is?
Jesse is
Yeah.
currently
Yeah, he's a
missed out
very
as well.
notable one.
Yep. Yeah, no, I remember seeing like right after Pittsburgh that there were a bunch of players tweeting out that, I think Paul Ruiz for not for Pittsburgh, but for one of the European tournaments wanted to get in, and he couldn't get in. And he was one of the players I was referencing that gets paid to play by an organization,
Yep.
and
Just
he
doesn't.
can't play because he's just not getting into the tournament. So it's just unfortunate to see, and kind of rolling off that topic is an event actually getting canceled or at least not renewed for this season,
Yeah.
which is OCIC, or like the Oceania International Championships. So wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I
Tommy, you want to take this one? I'll jump in
yeah,
after. I have a few things
I'll
to
go
say,
first
but
on this one. I am blessed to, like I went to London as a spectator for Worlds in August, and I was like, I want to do everything in my power to play in Japan, and I accomplished that goal, which I'm so proud of. And one of the things on my bucket list is to travel more for Pokemon. I want to go to LAIC so I could say I've been to 4 continents in 2 years. Like I've been loving playing and traveling, and I've been having so much fun. Like I've been having so much fun, and going to Australia would be incredible. Like it'd be freaking awesome. They got kangaroos, they got koalas, like they got animals I've never seen. They got so much different cuisine and beer and everything. Like there's so much I would want to do in Australia. So like OCIC would be an awesome excuse to go to Australia and like play Pokemon on a fifth continent. And as someone who's blessed to be able to travel as much as I've been able to, like seeing that it's like, oh, I can't potentially plan that this upcoming season or next
Mhm.
like the season after or the season after. Like what if they don't bring it back ever?
right.
So it's very disappointing to see. I hope they restructure it in a way where it's like, yeah, we know OCIC is going to be smaller than the other ICs, but we got to do something to let these people eat. Or like, what if we include Asia in that circuit again? Right? That used to be a thing apparently, where like it was a Southeast Asian Australian circuit. Like
Yep.
maybe they could do something to help those players out too, because
Yeah.
we know the Asian circuits are not the most well ran according to a lot of the players. Like we saw the metronome protests
Yep.
and whatnot. So I hope for they took it away this season to make it better in future seasons. But yeah, I would love to eventually go to OCIC and travel and play Pokemon in another continent.
I think,
That's so cool to me.
agreed. I
And yeah,
think
that's
the
all I
big
really
thing
gotta say.
here, and something that really needs to be said, is this company continues to ignore regions that want to play, that have passion for this game, and they just do nothing for them. In fact, they almost make it harder for them to play the game, right? And I used to think this way as a Canadian, right? Like, it wasn't, we had, when I first started playing, we actually didn't have a Canadian regional. We were lucky to get Toronto in 2017 when I was starting to pick up the game, right? And that was big for me, Hey, we have a local regional now. Maybe I can justify, I get to my local regional. Then maybe I can do one in America, because it's not the most accessible going down from Canada to the US, right? But this is by far, after I've seen some of the stuff in recent years, that is a tiny stone in these problems right now of ignoring regions, right? Like, look at the Latin American region. They've been struggling for years with TPCI ignoring them. Now they're getting rid of Oceania. There are players there that are passionate about the game. This stuff needs to be fixed on their end. These guys need to be allowed to play the game. It's as simple as that. You have to let them play the game. They want to play the game. It's the same thing with the registration. We are trying to play your game, Pokemon. Let us play it. Exactly. We are trying to play your game.
Exactly. I think that's the perfect way to put it. And there are some incredible players that come out of Australia and that in that region, and it's just
Incredible.
project that it's now harder for them to be able to qualify, because that's the only tournament that's there anyways generally, and now that they've taken that away, it's just now they have to really spend a lot of money to travel to go to other tournaments.
I think they have two regionals this year.
CP bar. It's really
Wait, they only have two?
I think they only have two regionals and whatever locals they end up getting. As of currently right now, that is all they have to earn their invite, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
That's just so difficult to see. My heart goes out to the players in that region, and I really hope that in the future they get a little bit more respect from the Pokemon Company.
Thank you guys for looking out for the players, because I did it from the selfish American point of view, and you guys really did it from the Australian player-based point of view. So I appreciate we got both of those viewpoints.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, well, I'm going to transition us a little bit. We have the first regional of the 2024 season coming up in 2 weeks, from at least from when we're recording, for Pittsburgh. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on first, are you guys going to Pittsburgh, and how are you feeling about it? And B, let's talk a little bit about the meta going into Pittsburgh. Okay. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Ryan, you start. I've been starting a lot. Ryan, you go first.
All right. So I think for me, I am going to Pittsburgh. That's going to be fun. I can't wait for that. Just want to start the season off strong, and then just see what goes on, right? And then, but the big thing here is like the meta-wise, and I think you are going to see a lot of Landorus, Iron Hands, Amoonguss. To me, that is the big the core of three right now that you are going to see a lot of, right? And obviously that core won Worlds. There's no surprise that you're going to see a lot of that core running around. I'm interested in seeing how that core develops, because it is going to develop, right? Obviously, Shohei's team is very good and probably still will be very good, and you're going to see people running it. But I am very interested to see the people that go, hey, the highlights on this team are that Landorus, Hands, Amoonguss, and maybe that Fluttermane. That core of four is ridiculous, right? And I'm curious to see how people adapt the Shohei team, or that Shohei balance variant, into the meta that's going to be at Pittsburgh, because I definitely think those are the three to watch. And I'm really curious to see how that type of balance, as a balance player, I'm curious to see how that balance evolves.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy going into the first regional of the season with the only tournament in this format having already had a tournament in this format, but that also being
Worlds.
So it's really it's gonna be super interesting to see kind of how people adapt. And I think going into Worlds, it was a very much hey, what are people gonna bring? Everyone's keeping their teams top secret. I think there's less of that when you go into regionals, about keeping things really under wraps, but it's still very much, this is going to be our only, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, only other NA regional in Reg D format, and then it changes.
Yes, this is the last Reg D regional.
Yep.
That's the only reason I'm doing.
2 regionals in this format, so I think people are going to bring out whatever, they're not going to save anything. This is going to be hey, this is
Yep.
it. And then we're going into a new format, into Regulation E, which
You
we're
pour it
not
on.
sure what that's going to look like yet. But so I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it's developed. I think my call out that I'm going to say for the meta is I think a lot of people early on in Reg D said, hey, Urshifu's here, Rillaboom's here, Heatran's here, Hondozo is in a really rough spot. What I've seen since then on ladder and different tournaments is people are building some pretty innovative and very offensive Dondozo teams, and I really
Yep.
think that that's something that, as a previous Dondozo player,
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be something to really watch out for at Pittsburgh because I think people are realizing that they don't have the people don't have the best Dondozo answers necessarily,
They're
and
sleeping on it
especially
again.
combined
The
with
cycle
Chi
continues.
Watermane, Chien-Pao Dragonite, really offensive stuff like that, or Tornadus Urshifu. There's
Mhm.
a few different comps, but I think that's going to be something that is going to throw people off when it comes to Pittsburgh.
Yep. So Conk just said, have your Dondozo answers ready. And
Yeah.
this
I
is
think
actually
he's right.
something I kind of want to discuss about the shortened formats because I'm not going to get into it right now. I'll let Tommy talk about Pittsburgh first. But I definitely want to, if
We
I
don't need
can,
to
take a few seconds to talk about that, Conk, afterwards. Let me know.
Yes, for sure.
take as much time. I'm just gonna mention a sunflower quick, so you have as much time in the world. We don't need to hear from me.
Tommy, no.
Tommy, come on.
Come on, you gotta have something.
First of all, okay, we talked about this a little bit, but Tommy's running quite a unique mon right now. We'll see if
So it's a
he
nuclear
has the
weapon.
confidence to run it in Pittsburgh. But
I don't. I don't think I do. So my friend Bruno, he's the guy that turned me on to Hariyama. He's like, hey, you should try Hariyama on your team. Let's run some games with it. Just trust me. I ran games with it. I won a PC the next day. Finished 39th NAIC from adding it to my team. He goes, hey, Tommy, you should try this on your team. And just sent me a mock paste. I was like, this kind of... And I went 20-0 on ladder with it. And I got from 1,300 to 1,500 immediately. 1,570 immediately. And the Sunflora in best of threes is very weird to position. So Leaf Storm can KO a Cresselia with Choice Specs Terra Grass. I love the Terra Flying, Terra Blast, Life Orb in the sun. If I get weather control, this thing's just overpowered. It was a critical hit, but I KO'd a Lando in the sun with Leaf Storm. It was Terra Flying. It wasn't even ground typing anymore. It was a Terra Flying Lando, and a critical hit KO'd it. I've been having so much fun testing this on Limitless and on Showdown, and the fact that you said people sent it to your group and were like, "Is this you guys? I know you guys smoke crack." Like, no, that's not us.
yeah,
I've been having so much fun testing this thing. I don't think I'm gonna bring it to Pittsburgh. You might see me locking the Sunflower in Pittsburgh, but yeah, no, it's I'm sticking with Hard Trick Room, and I don't think it's very good right now to most people. Like, I don't know how to sound this without saying a little pompous, but I'm gonna say it anyway, and tell me if I sound pompous. The caliber of player at Worlds is like crazy different from the caliber of player at Pittsburgh. So I think just going in with what I know, playing the way I play, playing a Hard Trick Room team, I'll be able to position myself way better against North American players than I will against the world's caliber players. And I feel like that's very pompous of me to say, but at the same time, it's kind of how I'm feeling. And then the Sunflower just gives me another nuclear weapon that if I learn how to position it well against good players, that I could beat the above average player with it. And it's like really interesting to see in the best of 3 practices. I've been looking at the data and I like it more than I should. So I really think I'm looking into the Sunflower. I'm looking into some other stuff. I might reach out to you about your Worlds team and see how easy it is to get one of these minimum speed Urshifu Darks, because that's been fun in testing on Showdown too. So I want to test that more before I reach out. But yeah, no, I'm testing out a few different mons, but I'm sticking with. I prepped for Worlds. Like, I was like, let me take a little an approach. Let me try to fix all the auto losses I see in these limitless tours. Let me just try to grind games. So like, I like the core of my team. Since it's the last Reg D regional, I'm not really gonna switch it up too much. You know, I feel like the secret's out of the bag. But I don't think people were keeping secrets well before Worlds either. Conk, you mentioned people were keeping their stuff in house. I don't know, man. Michael was winning limitless tours with this stuff. You were topping ladder with your stuff. There was a lot of people showing off their sauce, like, yo, like, mess with me.
it's a tough balance because
Hmm.
you need to practice, right? Like you need to practice and
Yeah,
you need to practice against what other people are using, and the only way to do that is to play on Showdown or on something on Limitless Tours. And I think I mean, you guys know that I was grinding Limitless Tours all season. I was showing
yeah,
off whatever team I was using, and I would still bring it regardless,
crushing it.
and I would do pretty well with it. So I think there's a balance to it, and I think people maybe try a little bit harder to keep it under wraps for Worlds. Maybe it
I
doesn't
agree with
happen
that.
for certain people. Maybe it still just gets out there, but I think people are at least trying a little bit harder for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, for regionals, it's kind of
Yeah.
it's a little bit less so of we need to keep things a secret because, like you
Hmm.
said, I think it's just a fact that at the world stage, the people that got there are qualified for Worlds. Not everyone at Pittsburgh is a Worlds caliber player,
Yeah.
right, at
yeah.
regional levels, but that doesn't mean, it's
No
still
eating
a
Well,
tin.
regional. It's still
well,
very
the thing
tough to
is,
get
you
to
could
stage
still
2.
go down
Very
there
tough.
and play 9 straight rounds of World's
Exactly.
caliber
Yeah.
players. Like your run
That's
at a
what I kind of
regional
hope.
could literally be Yo-Yo X9 into Gavin into et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
Yep. Yep.
right?
You,
And
you
like
never know. You never know what your
you just
schedule's
never
gonna
know
be.
who you're gonna pull. But
Yep.
in terms of
Absolutely.
releasing teams and stuff early, I don't think it's that big of a deal for regional stuff. Because unless you have a team that's really kind of like shaking up the meta, if you're running
Yeah.
something similar to standard or similar to whatever people consider, oh, I've seen something similar to that before, no one is going to look at that and go, I must counter this one player going into a 400-person event. It's just not going to happen.
Your team
Nobody is
scares
going to
me.
look at that. They might look at it and go, do I maybe have a line? Yeah, sure. But no one's really going to go and sit there for 5 minutes, for example, and say, I'm going to hard counter Sable
Yeah.
IVGC because I think he's going to Pittsburgh and I think he's bringing this. No one has
So
time
time
to
out.
do that. Nobody is going to do that.
So when you lose to a team on Showdown or in a tournament, you don't send it to your friends and say, "Hey, can you help me make lines? Should I beat this the next time I see it?"
Depending on the team, I will.
So Chuck,
It
your
really
team
depends.
building partner, kicked my ass with your team, just gamed on me, and I was like, "All right, I got to figure out better lines." So like, yeah, you're now one of like the teams on my list. I hate to say is your team, but I'm like, I just got my ass kicked so bad. Like I always try to do that. I guess. I
No,
guess
it's
maybe I'm in
it's
the
definitely
minority then.
respectable, but it's
It,
one of those ones where
If
it,
I get
it
my ass kicked, oh, should I not say ass? Is ass a curse?
we'll just, we'll
If I
just
get my butt kicked, I want to have lines into the team that just kicked my butt. Is my point, I guess. Like, and
that
on limitless tours against world's people or on showdown against like a cool team, I guess I look into that more than I guess the average player does. But I'll
I,
send it to my boy and be like, "Yo, how do I try to make lines and game into this the next time I see it? Because I just got my butt kicked."
yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with making lines, right? Like, and I don't, but I'm just saying that like even though like like they know a team is out there, it's not just like yeah, you can have your lines, but like keep in mind I'm
Yeah.
also gonna have my lines into your team, right? So just
And they're
because you
better
have
than
your
mine
lines, it
are
doesn't.
currently.
It's not really that. Tommy, come on, but it's not really that. It's not really that big of a deal, you know. Like if we go into a game and we both have lines into each other, that's just gonna be good Pokemon, right? It's
yeah.
not like I'm running something like completely out there and I'm trying to keep it hidden so people don't run lines.
Oh,
Like
to like
for
counter team you.
example,
You mean?
like the Cortex, he always has like the sauce. You know, Cortex
Yeah.
always rolls up to a tournament with a sauce. If I find out that someone on ladder I played was Cortex, in the back of
That's
my
a
mind, then I'm like,
right.
hey, this is a legitimate thing that I'm gonna have to see maybe at a regional. If I go into Cortex and he's got his sauce, I have no line into whatever's going on that side of the field. I am going to
Yeah.
try and figure this out the best I can, just in case I play him. But if I play somebody like not necessarily like someone who plays a little bit more standard stuff, let's just say for example like a Paul Chua, do I have lines into the standard stuff? Yes or no. I'm not going to sit there for 7 years unless Paul Chua is running something completely out there or different. You could use any person for an example. You know what I mean? But like,
Like,
I'm
and
not going
like
to run it unless I know, like, unless I really see no real way to beat it, sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe my wording's wrong, but
exactly. Unless you feel like you have an auto loss into something that's like you're seeing multiple times, I
mm-hmm.
feel like there's a certain element of one player's running this to them at Pittsburgh out of all the people that out of the 400 people that are there, and will I not be able to figure it out? Like, do I have at least the tools to deal with that matchup? As long as I have that, then it's okay. Like there's a certain element of okay, I'm faced this teams a couple times. I cannot like I just don't know how to beat this combination of mons. What are like what can I do to figure that?
Right.
That's a different
That was the
story.
Eric Rios
And
team for me going into
it,
Worlds.
interesting
Yeah,
enough,
exactly.
a similar experience. I had this happen at Worlds on ladder a few times. I was like, oh, I lost to this a few times. It's like it's a really bad matchup. I'm like, no one's
Yeah.
bringing this to Worlds. It's not happening. I played it round 3 of Worlds. But anyways, besides the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, again, like there's a certain of like if you have something that's really like you think it's like I thought that my Bruxish Torkoal stuff was like really out of the box. I really just didn't want to kind of show that anywhere and have anyone be prepared for it. And I think that was something I really wanted to keep secret. But stuff like that I would run before, like Palmat Dozo, I'm like, okay, hey, like, is anyone really prepping into my Series 1 Dozo team?
Yeah.
Probably not. Is
Right.
anyone running into my Hard Trick Room team that I was running earlier on? Like, probably
I
not.
love that
And
team,
even
by
if
the way.
they are, there's a certain element of, because I know that there were actually some people that did prep into my Palmat Dozo stuff, and but they're not going to play the same way that I play, right? And so there's a
Nope.
very you can prep into certain teams, but there's a big difference of prepping into it with some of your friends versus prepping into it versus a Paul Chua, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like that's the play styles are very different. So I
Agreed.
think there's some element to that. But
Having
speaking on
friends is
limitless tours and
overpowered.
stuff like that, I want to
Yep.
transition us a little bit to some of the tours that we've seen. And I think
Yes.
one I want to bring up immediately is one of our own Chilling Neigh Pod members
Oh
have
no.
won recently.
Not like this.
Congrats to Save Live VGC on winning the Gimme Burnt Glizzy Tour. So
92 record too.
want to transition it over to you to talk a little about your run, kind of your team, and how you felt the meta was when you were, kind of playing in that tour. For reference for everyone, it was over 100 people, so pretty good sample size.
No, so I'm gonna just kind of just be very brief with this one. I don't want to spend too much time, but I ran Shenpao, Landorus, Therian, Fluttermane, King Gambit, Gastrodon, and Volcarona. Now, what I basically did was I kind of liked the whole like concept, and I knew this tournament was gonna be best of one, and I liked the concept of what Yuri did at Worlds with his King Gambit, Gastron stuff. It was difficult to break. Yes, Yuri didn't necessarily perform as well, but one of his members of his team building group did get, I believe, 33rd. So like the team
Oh, wow.
is out there, it was doing well, and I was like, how can I make this kind of best of one where people aren't gonna have lines? And I said, you know what? Volcarona. It's a fun stream mod. No one's really gonna have any lines into Volcarona right now, and that kind of stuff works better in best of one because normally you can spend game 1 figuring out your line, and then game 2 and game 3 go, yeah, I can adapt. But I'm telling you right now, Volcarona was my MVP of this tournament. No one knew what to do versus it. Like, I would just bring it, and I could either Rage Powder, I could Tailwind, right? I just had this support Volcarona that no one knew what to do with. And it took me 5-2 in Swiss, and then even honestly, once I got to Top Cut though, like it still did good. It's an interesting mod, but like I said, I built it for the tour, I built it for the stream content, and honestly, I just feel like I played really, really well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And the opponent you faced in the finals was actually running Dondozo. So I want to hear a little bit about your thoughts on the Dondozo matchup and if you saw any of that in Swiss and kind of thoughts on that.
So the Dondozo matchup, this one was actually really, really weird. This is one of those ones where it's like I wouldn't have had a line into it in a game 1. In fact, I did drop game 1 when I played the finals, but it was Clear Amulet Dondozo, Tatsugiri, Protective Pads Urshifu, Focus Sash Pelipper, Choppleberry Persiker, yes, I said Persiker, and Goldengo Choice Specs. So it's one of those ones where you really had to sit down and figure out what was going on in front of you for a little bit. And I dropped game 1.
Spirit, make it rain.
Pardon?
Steely Spirit, choice steel, make it rains.
Yeah.
That's massive damage.
It is ridiculous damage, right? And it's one of those ones, like I said, in best of one, you don't know calcs. You know, me and my friends, when we prep, I remember versus back when Nails had his snow team or his Obama snow team, and like we were prepping versus it, and in our prep group, and we were just like, game 1 is a game of learn your calcs. If you've never played this team before, that game 1 is learn your calcs. How much does Specs Iron Bundle do to my Fluttermane? Let's find out, right? That was the game 1, right? Learn your calcs. It's very similar here. It's your game 1 is figure out what is going on, how they want to approach this matchup, and then games 2 and game 3 you adapt. Now, I mean, I definitely got the calls right in this game. There was definitely a lot of calls to be made in this game, in this set. I managed to win, but like, the
This was the best
Dondozo
of
was
three for finals,
genuinely
right?
scary.
Yeah.
Was it best of 3 for finals?
Top cut was best of 3, yes.
Yes.
So
Okay.
the
Yeah.
Dondozo was genuinely scary. I will be honest on that part, and it's just one of those mons, and it reminds me of like a Colossal or a Xerneas from way back in the day. You need to preserve your pieces strong enough without losing your other pieces to the rest of the stuff, right? And there's
Yeah.
always going to be calls to make when it comes to this. In this case with the Dondozo, is the Giri switching in? Is the Dozo protecting while the Gold Dango is slaughtering you with a Make It Rain? There's a lot of calls to be made. I happen to get them right, but guys, Dondozo's scary. I don't want to call it real still, because if you do
Sure.
have answers to it on your team, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
However, if you're relying on just outplaying a Dozo, it's not always possible, guys. It's not always
Yeah.
possible. Dondozo is a very scary mod.
Very scary, for sure. For sure. And the other tour I want to bring up is
Before we move on, I
the
want to shout out Himmy Turner.
oh yeah.
This dude is one of the smartest people in the community right now. Like I talked to him yesterday and just picking his brain about how he made Twitch partner and how he started his tours and streaming and everything. I was like, bro, you're a wealth of knowledge. So shout out Himmy for this and hosting these tours. He's putting all his Twitch money into the prize money for the tours too, which I didn't realize.
Mhm.
So that's where the cash prizing comes from for the Himmy Burnt Glizzy tours. So yeah, shout out to him before we move on.
Yeah, for sure. I think
sure.
it's been great. I was actually looking through the Limitless tours over the last couple of weeks just to, kind of pick out some highlight tours, and there are a lot of tours, and which I think is so great because I remember, playing in Sword and Shield era, there was maybe I would look forward to the Nino tour being held on a Friday, and
Yeah.
that was maybe one of like two tours or three tours that would be held that week, every other week or something like that. So you really had to kind of wait for a tour to be held, and now you can kind of sit down on a random day. Hey, I want to pull up Limitless, see if there's a tour going on, and most of the
And
time
some of
there
them
will
have
be.
money.
Yep.
Yeah, yep, which is really cool. Um, so the next tour I want to bring up actually happened a little bit earlier, but it was soon after Worlds. I think August 20th was the date, but it's the Dog Pound Brawl. This was a
Five
$500
hundred
prize.
dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the winner was none other than Michael Kelsch, aka Michael DeBest, who was the Worlds runner-up using the same exact team that um, he used to get second at Worlds, and this was a tournament that was pretty stacked. I mean,
Mhm.
Marco Silva got third in this tour. There was some very high quality players in this tour, so and over 200 people. So I think a little bit what we talked about, we're keeping your team a secret or kind of just using the same team. This guy has been using the same team, won a tour early on with the Nino tour before
Mhm.
Worlds, got to Worlds, got second at Worlds, and then came back and then won another tour.
He's
Guy is
he's basically going, I dare somebody to stop me, and nobody is stopping this man. He is absolutely
crazy.
an insane player. Now,
Yeah.
literally, I'm not sure if you guys saw his tweet, but he's literally top of the ladder in Ranbats as well.
Yep.
And it's Ranbats. You can kind of brush it off if you want to. But his GXE and his win record, his GXE I think it was like 93 or something like that, which
92%, something like that.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
think
either
it makes
way,
it
guys,
crazier.
for anybody who doesn't know what GXE is, it is basically saying your percentage chance to win a random game against a random opponent. So that is basically saying if Michael has a 92 to 93% chance of just winning a game against, doesn't matter who he pulls, just he could have a 93% chance of winning a game. He is an absolute legend at this game. He just plays very well, like consistently very well. It's insane how insanely well he plays all the time.
Someone quote tweeted his tweet and was like, "This is a format where you could have Victory Bell versus
Yes.
Necrozma."
Yes, and he's winning, and he's just winning anyways. He doesn't care. He just doesn't
It's
care.
crazy, and because we're talking about him, I know, guys, that we talked about the highlight performer at the end, but I'm just gonna push this up
Why
because we've
not?
kind of been
Yep.
talking about it so much.
Yeah.
But, introducing a little bit of a new segment, but we're gonna start to just bring up highlight performance slash highlight performer for the pod as much as we can about just highlighting players in the community that have been doing super well. And this guy needs to be the highlight performer of the last couple of weeks. He is just maybe the best overall Pokemon player in the world right now when you consider how he plays in singles, how he's been playing in VGC,
Uh-huh.
just daring people to stop him, like Ryan said, and no one can. It's just really
It's
ridiculous
ridiculous.
how good.
It's
Props to
ridiculous
him.
how good he is at the game.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, guys, I'm gonna transition us to a game.
Oh, I'm excited for this
So
one.
we're gonna be playing a game where we each picked a mon, and we're gonna have the other two people guess based on the showdown usage step. So overall usage percentage, and then if we don't get it on that, then we're gonna do it at the highlighter percentage, so 1760 ELO plus. And then if we don't get off that, we're gonna give another clue, and then we'll reveal. So who wants to go first?
Uh, I'll
I'll go first.
I'll let Tommy go first, but Tommy, real quick. I don't know how filtering to 1760 plus is really gonna help here, Conk. I'm like a resident like 1500 ladder.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Well,
resident 15 to 1600 person. I try to
we'll,
get a
we'll
new
see. We'll
account
see.
to
I'm just
1500 and then
I just
the
wanted to
account.
joke around. Go ahead, Tommy. What do you got for us?
Go for it.
So I got a Pokemon that at 0 plus is at 8.16% usage. And do you want to know what it goes to at 1700 plus now or
Well,
guess?
we'll give that the
Wait,
second
give it a
clue.
sec. Give it a
First one,
sec. So you're
give me
saying
something.
8-ish, 8%?
8.16% at 0
8.16.
plus.
Okay.
And I won't tell you if it goes up or down at
Yeah, then let's know.
1700,
Yeah.
but I will tell you it changes.
Hmm.
All right. Ryan, you want to go
And the
first on this
change
one?
kind of surprised me.
I'll
I'll give you that hint.
I'll
Maybe I shouldn't have given you that hint.
I'll
but-
jump in. I don't have much of a guess on this one, but I'm actually gonna go with Thunderous Incarnate.
Ooh,
That's a good
okay,
guess.
Thundy Eye. Let me see what that's actually at.
Well, don't look up yet. Don't look up yet, because
Yeah,
like we
yeah.
still
Don't
gotta
look
do
up,
ours
don't
to
look up.
yours, right? So like,
It could be someone else's mon. It could be
yeah.
someone else's mon, so you don't know.
Okay. So
Okay.
let me
So it's
close out
not
the
Thundy
Thundy
Eye
Eye.
then.
It's not Thundy Eye. All right, Conk, you got anything? Because I don't.
Okay. I'll go with 8 point. I'll go with Dondozo. 8%.
Dozo. Okay, so your
Dondozo?
guesses are Thundy Eye and Dondozo. Both of them are wrong. And
Okay.
now, do you want to know
Yes.
the 1700
Yeah.
plus numbers?
Yep.
Yep.
3.79. It goes down by more than half.
Whoa. Okay, so that
Wow,
to
okay.
me means the way I'm looking at this now is this means it's probably one of those mons that just like looks cool but then kind of sucks when you try it, and a lot of the upper and a lot of the upper players aren't really are
Yeah.
noticing that, right, and they aren't using it up on the top of the ladder, but some of the other
Mhm.
players are just trying to make this, maybe it's a cool looking mon or something like that, and they're just trying to make it work. So
Yeah.
from that, what can I say? In fact, you know what? No, that's not gonna work.
Do you want any more hints?
Let's see if we get this here, and then I think we can. Conky, you got anything?
Yeah. 3% usage on high
379.
ladder.
So almost 4. Almost 4. But it is less than half of the 8.16.
I am gonna say. Oof, this is a tough one.
This is a tough one. This is weird.
This
Right?
is a really interesting one. That's a pretty significant drop.
Right, exactly. So it's like I want to say one thing, but I'm like, no, that drops way too much for it to be that.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say the giraffe, Fergiraf.
Giraffe and Sableye. Who you got?
I'm gonna say Gastrodon.
That was my other guess.
So this Pokemon is also 24th most used on cart ladder. It is neither Fergiraf or Gastrodon.
Give us a non-usage hint now. 'Cause
Yeah,
if-
just
if
give us
we
a
didn't get it.
different hint.
Me and you both brought it to Worlds.
What's that?
That's too. It's really good. It was used at Worlds by multiple people on this podcast.
Multiple people that's on this podcast. So
So it has to be something you two ran.
probably, yeah, both of us ran.
Torkoal?
But did we run Torkoal?
Oracle. I couldn't believe it.
Torkoal. Interesting.
I was like,
Huh.
oh my god.
That's
I have-
honestly never would have got that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it has.
This game is
8%
hard.
This
Oh.
game is
I told you guys-
ridiculously hard.
This game's hard.
Yeah, this game is really hard. This game is really hard. All right.
No, but think about how good it's gonna be when someone just gets it right. It's gonna be like, yo.
All right, Save.
I
Why
have a
don't
backup
why don't
too.
you go
My
next?
backup is kind of surprising too.
All right.
But,
I'll
alright.
go with so this one at 0 plus usage is 3.69%.
Nice.
And as a
Okay, I'm
preface,
gonna go-
it does go up by more than double at later usage. But right now,
I'm gonna go Gastrodon on this one.
3.69%. Conk, you're saying Gastro. Tommy, you got anybody?
Yes, I definitely got someone. I gotta think though. So it's a mon that good players like, and that Gastrodon is a really good one for that one. Okay. So and Ryan guessed Gastrodon last time too, so he knows it's actually. I don't think it is Gastrodon.
See,
I'm gonna rule out Gastrodon.
Tommy's cooking now.
Yeah, because when I said it had 3.79%,
you're right. He guessed it, so he probably doesn't. Yeah, he probably didn't.
Yeah, it's not going to be Gastrodon because Ryan guessed it last time, and he guessed it at 3.79%, 1760 plus rating. Oh, I think I'm gonna go Zapdos.
Ooh,
that's a good guess. That is a very good guess. It is not Zapdos. It is not Gastrodon. But it actually goes from 3.69 to 8.08% in usage.
Oh, that's a huge improvement.
It is a huge improvement, and I'm actually shocked that the difference is this much. I didn't think the difference would be this much, but the difference is this much.
I'm gonna go. I have a mon, but I feel like I don't know. I'm gonna say Hisuian Arcanine.
That's a good guess. I like that guess.
I think it's used more in the lower ladder though. Arcanine is right, or
is it? I don't know. I don't know about that one.
It's used a lot in Limitless tours, I guess too. I like that thing. It hits like a truck.
Tommy, what's your guess?
Tommy, you got a guess here?
Yeah, I gotta. This is a hard one, man. So it more than doubles in usage.
They're all hard, Tommy. They're all hard. We're gonna need to fine tune this game, I think. But
I think so. For the next time, we'll definitely make it a little bit easier.
I still think it's fun though for right now. I still think it's good.
I think this is really. It's a nice little thought experiment to try to figure out usages.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should include what type it is next time too.
I was gonna say that would probably be the final clue. I think.
Yeah. Type should be the final clue.
Don't get it.
I'm gonna go. I think it's taken a dip in the lower ladder, and I think good players still respect it. Dragonite. Am I wrong on that? Is it still one of the higher usage mons?
Oh, okay.
All right. It's been picking back up in usage. I have noticed that a little bit, but the answer is not Dragonite.
Okay.
Okay. Give us. So here's
the next clue is we were talking about its partner, or a partner to this Pokemon during our Pittsburgh segment.
Tatsu?
Ursaluna.
Conk got it. It is Tatsugiri.
Oh.
And I'm surprised the difference is this much.
That is a really big
It's an
difference.
incredibly different usage percentage. And that's really why I picked it. I'm like, I saw it. I'm like, maybe I'll do this. And I was like, its difference is like a whole 5%. I'm like, yeah, I'm picking this.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that's because Solo Dozo did well at Worlds, so people are trying Solo Dozo?
And a lot of the lower ladder players. Possibly? Who knows?
Well, I mean, like, it might be Dondozo has the same.
No, Dondozo is like 8 or 9% still at 0 plus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was really surprised.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really weird.
All right, that is a very interesting one.
So that means Solo Dozos aren't translating to the 1760 plus ladder.
Right. For the most, or more, give or take.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Con,
I'll
what do you
go
got?
here. So mine at 0% or 0 plus ELO is at 7.28% usage.
Okay, 7.28.
I feel like we need like some Jeopardy music here, like
yeah.
Okay. You said 7?
7.28. So that's a decent chunk. I was looking at around that range. I was I don't want to pick him on the too low use.
I'm gonna say Zapdos.
I don't want to pick him on the
I'll jump on Zapdos.
Okay. Tell me.
I'm gonna go Armorage.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, I'm an idiot. I know it's not Armorage. Can I get a second guess?
Sure.
Okay. I know it's not Armorage. Oh, this is tough. I'm gonna go Gastrodon.
See, it can't be Gastrodon. It can't be Gastrodon because he wouldn't get the other one.
I forfeit the right to pick. I guess.
So on Highlighter, 1760 plus, it goes from 7.28% to 4.45%. It does drop.
So it wasn't. What did I guess again? Arcanine? No, I said
You guessed
Zapdos.
that.
I said Zapdos.
Yeah, you said Zapdos this time. I'm writing down guesses now.
So it drops.
It drops.
Significantly.
Hmm.
So it's a low louder demon. Noob killer.
What would be?
Annihilate.
I'm gonna say Chiyu.
It is not an Iberchiu. My next clue is that it is a Paradoxmon.
Oh.
Ooh.
Huh.
I don't think it's
One that I was
provided.
honestly surprised that had as high usage as it did at 0+. I was expecting lower usage.
So I don't think it's bundle. I don't think it's Tusk.
No.
I don't
I
think
think
it's
it is bundle. I'm going Iron Bundle.
You're going Iron Bundle?
I'm going Iron Bundle.
Is it Tusk? I don't think it's.
It is
It's
Iron
Tusk.
Bundle.
Ah,
It is
okay.
Iron Bundle.
Wow.
I feel like I haven't seen it much, and so I
No.
was
At all.
surprised it was
At all?
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was surprised.
I haven't
had
seen it
that
in
high
Luna
usage.
stores either.
Yeah. So that was a really big surprising one for me. So
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
agree.
I gotta pick that one out.
I
I
love
think
this
we're gonna have to
game.
cut the
Yeah.
game there. I know we had a prepped a second round,
Yeah,
but
it's all
I
good.
think we'll
I love
fine
it.
tune.
We'll fine tune
fine-tune
this.
the
I
gameplay
like
a bit,
this. I think it worked.
But
I like it.
come on.
Let us
Wait,
know what
I
you
think
guys
we need
think.
to include pipe.
Yes,
or more
and let us
tech-
know if you guys got the answers.
Yeah, because that's the fun part.
because-
You guys can play along.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna get. Someone's gonna get an answer, and I'm gonna call beat crap.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for today's episode. Had so much fun recording this one. I am super excited to see how all of us do at Pittsburgh and kind of do a recap once we come back.
Mhm.
So we will be back post Pittsburgh.
Maybe a short live episode there.
We will we will actually have a schedule this time, guys. We're actually gonna start doing our schedule properly.
Yeah.
So
Our
we are
footage
gonna
will not be stuck in another country, so we
Yeah.
will be good. We will be good. Okay, well, that is it for us at the Chilling Neigh podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm Rashil K. Kunkeldonk with Stable IVGC, Tommy Hayden, signing out for today.
See you
Thank
guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Love you.